Palestine disaster started, she's been outstanding. And there were 2 articles late this week that I did not have a chance to crop up, but I did want to go over them real quick. So let me go here and turn off the slideshow and go back to full screen. Here we go. So Julia's article is CDC officers become sick while assessing contamination in East Palestine. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Even the people, and listen to this. The reports add confirmation that the symptoms reported by East Palestine residents are real and are associated with environmental exposures from the derailment and chemical fire, said one scientist. Yeah. Okay, reports that several investigators with the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention became ill earlier this month when they visited East Palestine, offered the latest evidence that the air and water in the town is less safe than the state officials and rail company Norfolk Southern have claimed following the company's train derailment in early February. The CNN reported 7 physicians and officers from the CDC's Epidemic Intelligence Service traveled to East Palestine in early March, a month after a train carrying toxic chemicals, including vinyl chloride, derailed there, and then they burned it. The team reported developing symptoms including headaches, sore throats, coughing, and nausea while they were conducting their door-to-door assessment of public health risks. That's just while they were there.
Yeah.
Symptoms were similar to those reported by many East Palestine residents at the crash and are consistent with the physical effects of exposure to vinyl chloride when it's burned, as it was by officials who conducted a controlled release. And there's no such thing as a controlled release. That's bullshit. They just burned it following the derailment to avoid an explosion and just to avoid a bigger explosion. There was a huge explosion. As we heard from Mary, who we read her article that she wrote, the local resident, last week. Despite reports from people in the area who were briefly evacuated and then told just days after the accident that it was safe to return, state officials and Norfolk Southern representatives have insisted that no dangerous levels of contamination have been detected in air or water. Okay. Well, we must stop playing Russian roulette with our health and the environment, said Erin Brockovich. And there you go. That does not look healthy. All right.
Nope.
Report from CDC experts adds confirmation, as she said, that the symptoms reported are real, like we said. Norfolk Southern has removed roughly 9 million gallons of contaminated wastewater from the site of the derailment so far. Chemicals spilled into local creeks and rivers after the derailment and eventually floated into the Ohio River. Like you talked about, it's stopping barges. It's making its way to Ontario. It's making its way to Maine. And here they're talking to residents. They're all scientists. They're sitting up here telling us nothing's wrong. I want you to tell me why everybody in my community is getting sick. She's right. Here, you've got Andrew Welton. At least they quote Andrew Welton, Purdue University professor, who the United for East Palestine people shouted out as doing tremendous work at his own expense, showing up in East Palestine repeatedly. He's conducted these independent studies. He said on social media this week that he submitted a Freedom of Information Act request to CDC asking for documents related to the investigators' illnesses. All right. Right to Rochelle Walensky. So that was one Julia Conley article. The other one was on Friday. What happened? Biden DOJ sues Norfolk Southern for unlawfully polluting the nation's waterways. About time somebody does something. Now, this is performative theater. I'm telling you right now, this is performative theater. If anything, it'll be a slap on the wrist. Okay? It's going to give the senators a chance to grandstand and call the Allen, whatever his name, in front of Congress again and embarrass him and maybe give them a small fine. But it's not changing anything, unfortunately. All right, but they say that they will
force them to, like in Libby, give the residents Medicare.
Medicare for all. Libby, Montana.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody should have Medicare for all, but that's quote one DOJ official.
I'm saying you could like if you're gonna slap them on the wrist.
I will bet that this is not Merrick Garland or that's Merrick Garland. That's the guy who's the Attorney General. We will tirelessly pursue justice for the people living in and near East Palestine who, like all Americans, deserve clean air, clean water, and a safe community for their children. Except that Merrick Garland never met a corporation he didn't love.
Garland Nixon was the attorney general, but
Yes, I agree. If it were Garland Nixon, it'd be a different story. But the Biden administration on Friday took its latest step to hold Norfolk Southern accountable. Of course, they won't hold themselves accountable. No one from the administration like Biden or anyone is really doing anything about it. Mayo Pete gave it that one day casual whatever, but we know that he's not really doing much at this point.
Mayonnaise an instrument?
Mayonnaise, yep. But DOJ sued the company under the Clean Air Act, accusing it of unlawfully polluting the nation's waterways and calling on them to ensure it pays the full cost of environmental cleanup, which we know they won't. They'll leave us holding the bag. When Norfolk Southern train derailed last month, again, you've got Merrick Garland saying it, but that's a prepared statement. With this complaint, the Justice Department and the Environmental Protection Agency are acting to pursue justice. Yeah, he's not really behind this, but he's got to do it. Lawsuit comes almost 2 months. What took them so long? They should have had this lawsuit out a day after they started poisoning the ground. Whatever it takes to make them whole. Right? Officials began, again, the controlled release. There's the controlled release bullshit again of vinyl chloride to prevent an explosion. Process that sent chemicals including hydrogen chloride, phosgene into the environment. Those chemicals have been known to cause symptoms including headaches, vomiting, rashes. Earlier this month, data showed local levels of dioxin were hundreds of times higher than the threshold for cancer risk. They've got to get these people health. Again, they're going to offer them $9,000 or $10,000 for their house. That's what they're
like literally.
Like literally. I have it here on pretty good authority. I clipped a Facebook post. Where is it? And I sent it actually to somebody who I know. I guess I deleted it already. But I sent them, it was basically people asking the residents in the Facebook group, hey, has anybody called you yet? How much are they offering? And somebody was like, yep, basically if they offer me 10 grand, I'm taking it.
Jesus Christ.
But we're also seeing a problem that a lot of the cities that they're trying to bring this dug up dirt, this contaminated toxic dirt to, they don't want to accept it, and even in their processing plants. You know, Andrew over at Action for Assange, he started making a big stink about his community processing anything that might have come from East Palestine.
Bowler hat provocateur.
The bowler hat man. Love it. Okay. But government officials say toxic levels of contamination have not been detected. But a poll by federal, state, local authorities earlier this month found 3/4 of town residents experienced headaches following the derailment and controlled release. I don't even like calling it controlled release. And half had experienced rashes or other skin issues. On Friday, CNN reported that investigators with CDC had also had symptoms. By filing its lawsuit, Assistant AG Todd Kim of the DOJ's Environment and Natural Resources Division, the Biden administration is demanding accountability from Norfolk Southern for the harm this event caused. I will bet that it's Todd Kim that's driving this and not Merrick Garland. I will just bet. He's the environmental guy at Justice. It would make sense that he would be driving this. On top of the fact that Merrick Garland is a shameless corporatist. So he would begrudgingly have no choice but to go along with this because he has to. We will tirelessly pursue justice. We use the quote. In February, the EPA ordered Norfolk Southern to take full responsibility, issuing a legally binding directive. It also demanded the company attend all public meetings, which they didn't, regarding the disaster, after officials refused to meet with the residents following the crash. And I think Erin Brockovich actually was helpful in getting them to the table there. There's Sherrod Brown, key sponsor of multiple recent railway safety bills, applauded the Biden administration for following Ohio's lead and holding Norfolk Southern accountable to the full extent of the law. I mean, look at that. I don't know what you're doing, but that's
trying to get my
man. All right. Norfolk Southern and other rail companies have long lobbied for lax regulations and push workers to abide by strict scheduling system. That's the precision railroading. That rail unions say places profits over safety. And I think that we've seen that over the last few years for sure. And people are talking about, oh, under Trump, there were just as many derailments. Well, he wasn't exactly great when it came to regulations and safety either. So that's not really much of a win or a humble.